Good afternoon, beautiful people. How are you? I hope everything's going well. Let me go ahead and like and share this podcast that we are on today. I'm going to share it on my Facebook page, and I hope you are doing the same as we all start to get into the room. So come on, get into the room. Let's like, share, and comment and let me know that you are in here today. Sorry for starting off a little late. We had a few technical difficulties, so thank you for bearing with us. So let me say, by any means is starting now. All right. All right. Hey, you guys. Did you miss us? Well, today it's me. I'm solo today. My co-host, our board president, Henry, is out today. So it'll just be me. So, and you see, I have another chair right here. We're waiting on our guest that's going to be joining us in a little bit. So we're going to get started today. But again, before we get started, we want to get more people into our space, our virtual space. So if you could really share this platform, you could share the YouTube as well, so that we have more people joining our conversation. And while you're sharing, I want you to check out a way to donate. We have it posted up in the corner on this live. So if you want to just throw a few dollars at Kentucky Harm Reduction Coalition, what you are supporting is the materials that go into our naloxone, our harm reduction kits. Save a Life for $40. The way it works is that amount, we came to that amount because it is the amount that is needed when we are putting together our kits. And what people get inside of those overdose prevention kits is naloxone, which 2 of them come in the box. And they also get fentanyl test strips and xylazine test strips. Now, you need to ask if you want a mail-based distribution, if you want to go and get it mailed. If you're outside of Jefferson County, just ask for the materials that you need. And if there's something that you need that we don't have, we'll try to find a way to make sure you have access to that. So just wanted to throw that out there. I want to thank everybody for joining our live stream, our live broadcast. And yeah, I'm glad you're here today. I just got notice that our guest, who's going to be joining me this afternoon on this podcast, is on their way. Yay. So we want to make sure that you are careful getting here. We don't want you to get any speeding tickets. All right. So welcome to By Any Means, where we talk boldly and radically and unapologetically about harm reduction and healing in the face of systems that try to keep us broken. Me being your host today. Well, let's back up a little bit. If you got a chance to check out our in-person live taping of our podcast, which took place this past Saturday, then you really got to see some cool conversation between Henry and I. But also there were guests in the audience for our in-person live taping. And wow, if you weren't in the space, you missed out on an opportunity. But don't fret. We're going to have more opportunities like that. So just stick with us. And probably during the next podcast taping, we will share about our upcoming next in person. But that first one was amazing. We had people with lived experience. We had people who were in recovery. We had some youth in the room. My team was present, and the conversation was just as authentic and bold as it is on our virtual space. Today's episode, we're going to give time to really unpack what we've been doing over the last few months, Henry and I. And what we call it is one of our 3 pillars. And one of the first 3 pillars of Kentucky Harm Reduction Coalition is engage. Now, the engage pillar is about meeting people where they are and building authentic relationships across differences, right? That's really what engage encompasses. And I believe over the first few months of running this podcast, that's what we've been demonstrating is engage. So to continue with this theme, we wanted to make sure that the guest, that you understood why we were bringing people on our podcast to talk to us and have these really authentic conversations, is we want to show it in a way that is hard to explain sometimes. So, a lot that goes into the work, we don't really talk about. I was on a tour today at one of our community partners, the Brook KMI, and a lot of people on the tour were asking, what do we do in harm reduction? And it's not just about the Syringe Service Program. It's about looking at how can I connect with the person over if they don't look like us, if they do look like us, if they live near us, if they live far, if we have the same language or not. But is that enough? Is it enough to just say, those are the differences on why we engage? We don't look like each other. We don't come from the same space. What does it really look like when we're talking about advocacy, when we're talking about supporting people in the community? How do we really show up and not perform or not act as saviors? How do we enter spaces with humility, curiosity, and the kind of listening that builds trust? This is all a part of Engage. So today, what we're going to do is we're going to dig deep into that, especially when our guest comes on. It's Abdi, who is from the Somalian Community Center, will join us here shortly. And I'm going to let Abdi talk about himself, but he's a respected leader in the Somalian community, and he works within the Somalian Community Center under Farhan, a dear friend of mine. He's an advocate, he's a bridge builder, and I'm immensely honored to have him as a guest on here today. But before he comes in, I want to chat with you all a bit, and why this really matters, especially in a time when, silos are strong and real connections with people across, differences is really rare. Why engagement is foundational in harm reduction? A lot of people may wonder. And if you've seen me in different spaces, or you've heard me talk, you've heard me speak at a seminar, you've heard me at a conference, or had the privilege to actually sit in a session with me, you understand this philosophy I have. The work that we do and the connections that we build, it's not a microwave. It's an oven, right? And it's an oven, and we're baking a turkey on 200. Now, first, let me say this. I'm not a cook. My friends this podcast out will probably be busting up laughing right now. I'm not a cook. I'm not a chef. My brother is a chef. My sister-in-law is a chef. But me, no. I just like to throw stuff in the oven and get it done. And my kids like to cook. But the whole idea is that if I put a turkey in the oven on 200, hypothetically, so all the people that cook, don't judge me, it's going to take a lot of time for that turkey, right, to cook, to really get in the meat and really to cook within it. It's going to take a lot of time. That's part of the engagement in harm reduction. The foundation takes time. It's the idea that we don't walk into a space and we say, just trust me, I'm here to help. It's try me and see if what I say I'm about, right? Test me out. It's not just about outreach, right? It's about relationships. It's about trust. It's about building the long haul in solidarity, right? It's the long game. How do you build a house without knowing that the foundation is solid? And if we really unpack that idea of building a house, imagine what a house would look like. Or some people are dealing with loose or weak foundations, right? And they have to do a lot of structural work on their homes. I'm not a homeowner, but I can only imagine that if you didn't realize that the house that you moved into, that's been there for so many decades, right? I can only imagine once you realize that the foundation is weak. And I want you to reflect on this. What happens to a house when the foundation is weak? And as we sit with that, I would imagine there would be sinking in different spots. And those of you that are homeowners, you know this far too well. You know why those inspections are important in the beginning when you're purchasing a home, because you have to check those things out. So I think it's interesting that we put a whole lot more value of ensuring a strong and solid foundation for material places like an actual building, a structure, but we don't recognize that the relationships that we have with people should resemble the same idea, that there should be a strong foundation, right? It's in our world of harm reduction, in our world of engaging folks, what we do during this time is we center the individuals that we are meeting and we're engaging. We center their needs. That's really what it's about. Centering their needs. So this is the thing. When we don't do that, because like I said, think about the house metaphor. If a house is built on a weak foundation, you can only think of what that looks like, right? The mistakes that are made when we don't build properly in engagement, when we don't have that strong foundation, it would look like we're showing up here to help you. That's the quote. We're here to help you. And some of you guys, you may be like, yeah, I know what that feels like. I know what it looks like. I've seen it. I've experienced it myself. If you've ever been inside of a healthcare system, then you may have experienced those things. The attitude that we approach in harm reduction and engagement is we're here to learn and build together. The thing is, I can't help you if I don't know you. I can't support you if I don't understand what the needs are within your community. If I don't understand what is going on in your community or understand who you are, how can I help? So that's a big mistake. And when we go in with that type of thinking and we don't have the paradigm shift of I'm here to build together, I'm here to learn, then that's where the saviorism comes in. That's when saviorism comes in, right? The other idea is when we don't take the time to learn the nuances, we don't take the time to learn truly what is happening within the communities that we're engaging or the people we want to support and walk alongside on their pathway and their journey to healing. When we don't do that, then that relationship can feel false. And now we really are in that space of lacking building trust. And that's a real concern. If I don't get a chance, if I don't take a pause, a beat to really understand the history, understand where folks in a community are really coming from, then I run the risk of repeating history. Or better yet, I run the risk of unintentional harms. The unintentional harms. You know, I have many different scenarios and situations through my experience of doing this work in social services over I'm heading into 2 decades, right? Almost 20 years of being in social service. And I have quite a few experiences where I didn't hit the mark, right? Where I had an idea of what I wanted to do to help a community that I believed needed my help. And I jumped in with both feet. And as I reflect back, I'm not in shame or I feel guilty. I just know to do better. Like when you know better, you do better, right? That's how it works. When I reflect on specific times, I remember working in an agency, and I think I shared this before during another conversation between Henry and I, where I wanted so badly to support a community that's been marginalized and been put into the shadows. And what community I'm referencing is it was our trans community. And I remember coming into a meeting and as a leader, and I'm like, we're going to be there. We're going to support. We're going to do the best that we can for our community. And I remember looking across the table and realizing there was something that made me feel uncomfortable. And what made me feel uncomfortable was that I looked across the table and no one with the experience of living and existing and thriving in the trans community was a part of that discussion. And I said, wow. And, you know, maybe there's a privilege in this that living in America as a Black woman, and I thank my higher power, I thank God for my experience of living here as a Black woman and understanding how it feels for people to sit at a table and talk and make decisions that impact me, but no one at that table is a part of my community. And so I think that's as I reflect back on that time, I know that's where my thought process went and why I was so uncomfortable. So after that awareness, that moment of awareness, I remember going to my team and saying, how should I approach this? And we started reaching out within our agency and people started speaking up. And I remember one individual that is part of the community said, you know, instead of us just sitting around the table talking about what we think would work, have we thought that when a client comes in who is from this community, we ask them, what do they prefer? Y'all, you know the emoji where the brain explodes, like you have that. I was like, duh. So here it is. A team member said, not even us, because there's a privilege we have, right? As staff, we're on the other side of the table. To simply ask the individual who's coming in for the service, because we're not coming into this space for this service, but they are. What would make them comfortable is such a simple task, such a simple addition, such a simple pivot. But how often do we not do that? And it comes from pausing. It comes from taking a breath, as Henry would say, right? Take a beat for a moment to say, what's happening here? Am I actually connecting the dots? Am I actually showing up? That's it. So listen, I do have a challenge for the audience, right? The audience that's with us and the audience that'll be joining and watching the replay of this. What's one thing you've learned about connecting across cultures and across demographics in your work or your life? What's one thing that you've learned? How do you carry that? How do you carry that with you? As I think about my guest who's coming on, which I'm really excited about, this having Abdi in this place and in this space to have this conversation, that's part of the engagement effort. That's part of why we are taking a beat today. There's a lot of, and Abdi's going to share some of the experiences that's happening in the Somalian community. The way that we connect with our communities across cultures will be demonstrated today. I'm going to go ahead and send a text really quick because I want to make sure that my team knows that Abdi's on the way and they can reach them while I'm on air. But having Abdi come in is for us to really demonstrate the cultural piece. A lot of times people look at me and there's someone from a Black or brown community and they will say, oh, you know, you're Black, they're Black, or you're brown and they're brown. So you guys should be able to make this work. And I'm like, no, it don't work like that. It don't look like that. It actually doesn't even feel like that. We don't get to say because we look alike, because we look like we're from similar spaces, that we should know what that community needs and wants. That's not how it works. And I feel that way even about the Black community in Louisville. I'm a Black girl from the South Side of Chicago, a different geography, right? Layout. I'm from the urban city. I'm from the Midwest. Different approaches and how we communicate, how we engage, how we socialize. Violence is violence, but violence still looks different in different cities and different states. So when people say you could just go into the West End of Louisville and connect, I'm like, no, I still have to be invited just like any other community because I'm not from here. And I recognize that. I recognize and respect the fact that I need to still learn and understand the culture, the actual culture of this space. My second question, as we prepare for Abdi to come on, is, and I wrote these down, so I have some notes, you guys, today. What scares you or challenges you when trying to build relationships outside of your familiar communities? What scares you? Do you feel a sense of fear? What are your fears around? Is it that you're going to make a mistake? Because that's the first one. I like to let people know off the top, you're going to make mistakes. You know why? Because we're not perfect. That's the first thing. We're not perfect. The other thing is you're learning. You're learning. Abdi's coming in. Hey, Abdi, I told you we're live here. So you're coming right in.
Into it, huh?
Yes. Come on.
Sorry, you know, sometimes you gotta operate on Black people's time.
Oh, really? Did y'all hear what Abdi just said? Oh gosh. Can I get a hug?
Absolutely. Hey, how you doing?
Good. What are you wearing today?
So I wanted to like kind of show your viewers like something traditional, just a little bit. You know what I mean?
Okay, go for it. You can stand up and show everybody.
So this is like a traditional wear. We wear this in the Muslim culture. This is called a thobe, kameez. It has different, there's different words
Okay.
for it. And this is what men wear. So this
Wow.
is traditionally made for men. And like, I just like it because I be feeling like the heat wind going through me. It be making me feel like I'm Superman.
Really? So, okay. So I'll be actually, you are right, like right on time.
Okay.
And I kept my notes on my phone so that I could look at it. So everybody's gonna see me. So don't think I'm over here texting or anything, y'all. I'm using my notes. So we just really did a really nice introduction. First, let me share a little bit. So Ivy, we started doing By Any Means, our podcast. We started this February. We really kicked it off, and we do a live discussion. So we're on StreamYard, and this right now is streaming on Facebook and YouTube. So if you had your phone and you wanted to go ahead and share KYHRC on you all's Facebook page, that's good. But it's streamed and it's saved, and we're also on Spotify. So
okay, I got it down.
yes.
Like,
So I promise not to ask too many personal questions.
it's okay. We're here for some, you know.
See, but I was talking about what we really have been doing over the last few months. Our pillars in our organization. I might cough a couple of times. So
Yeah.
right. Oh, but not. So there's a reason why Abdi's laughing, y'all. Okay, let me tell you why. I was on Abdi, so our camera is up there. We're not fancy schmancy like you guys, but because they have a whole studio set up. But I was on the Somalian Communities podcast, and I'm hoping that Abdi can share about their podcast. But I kept saying a triggering word, I guess, to Abdi because he kept coughing. Now, the cool thing about theirs is theirs get edited. So, you know, they're going to cut out some stuff and do some fancy schmancy stuff.
Added, so you give it to the public.
Right. But goodness, you guys, I kept saying one, I'm trying to think of the word. Oh, was it Plan B? It was, I said the day after pill.
The day after.
And Avi started choking. And what's crazy is then he would stop and we'll have a conversation. Then as soon as I say it again, he started choking and coughing again. I was like, are you allergic to this word?
It's a bit triggering.
So we're not going to go there.
No, you're good. It's usually like majority of the time, it's like it just came out of nowhere. Like I didn't even know why, but it just became a triggering word.
Right. So we might need some water or something for Abby at some point. No, if I say something triggering.
Just know that Plan B word means you bring a water bottle.
Oh my gosh. So now y'all see why we are homies. We are really like cool.
We love Sheree.
So there we go.
Yep, we got the water. Thank you so much.
Thank you. This is gonna be a fun hour where I'll be watching. So now I hear myself through Ryan, through his So we've been talking about engage and how we really meet our communities, right? The topic today is building bridges, not barriers. And a lot of people think, excuse me, outreach is just going out and saying, hi, I got something for you. And what I'm trying to demonstrate through our engagement is what it really looks like to meet people. So welcome, Abdi. I've already let everybody in the audience know how honored I am to have you here in this conversation. And before we take this deep dive, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, your community, and the work you're doing at the Somalian Community Center?
Absolutely. First of all, my name is Abdi Meyer with Somali Community. I am an outreach coordinator, so this is also basically a great fit for the conversation. Mm-hmm. And I've been working for the Somali community for the past 3.5 years and hopefully continuing. Starting off in the community, it was very scary. I'm not gonna lie, because I understand how adults react and act to certain things from a young age because of my experiences. Yeah. So due to that, it was a little bit scary, a little bit shaky. Didn't know how people would react to the conversations I know I will be having to have, or how will I start this conversation with this elder woman, or how can I keep it going? You know what I mean? Right. Sometimes it's very hard to keep a conversation going with a person that doesn't want to have a conversation with you.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And even though sometimes we understand like people are going through things. They're going through things that we can't even imagine or even think about. So I had to learn to take myself out of the equation.
Yeah.
It's no longer about my needs and my wants, and it became, what do I do for this person that they need or they want? Because the conversations started off with, oh, we have this, I could do this, I could do that. Learning stages we all have to go through, and as we went on, it was like, yeah, this ain't gonna work, my man. Because all I see was just people are like, oh, but I won't get a response. I don't get a follow up. Now I have to move 10 times harder. Now I have to meet them at a place that they don't even are because I'm pushing them to be there. And those things kind of taught me that it's not about what we think anymore. It's more about what they need.
Yeah.
So absolutely.
Wow. And that's interesting because I'm like, that's the same thing we struggle with, right?
Absolutely.
What all happens at the Somalian Community Center?
So at Somalian, yeah. Say, whoa, this topic I could just talk on for hours.
It's all good.
Absolutely. So at Somalian Community, we do a lot of social services. We help people with a lot of different departments. For example, some of the departments I'm in charge of are like our digital literacy program is one of the things I'm in charge of, and that is Teens Teach Check, where we have teens that are in high school go out to the community and teach adults. And they could be seniors, they could be maybe just other college students that might need 1-2 touch. And what they do is they will meet them where they are.
Okay.
So we had chances to hold workshops at the mosque. We had a chance to work at the coffee shops. We even did a walk around at the Somali Mall, which was amazing because that story there was this one lady, she bought a watch from TikTok shop. And they're not like Apple watches where Apple has a whole app for you to go to.
Yes,
you know
exactly.
I mean? So she's over here like, I just spent this money and I have a watch that's useless and I don't know what to do with it.
Wow.
And one of the teens had the opportunity to show her, just because it doesn't have an app, there's a Bluetooth way to connect to it. So you can still get your calls, you can still see your steps, but it's not as technical. It's a little bit more technical than just going through the app and setting it up manually.
Yeah.
So those type of experiences what we go through in the digital literacy program. We also have workforce development where we help people apply jobs, college career readiness. We help high school students start getting scholarships.
Cool.
We have a team of experts who help them learn how to build resumes, learn how to interact in an interview, how to look in an interview.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times people think you can just show up in some jeans and a shirt. You know what I mean? And those kind of things are small tailored ways to kind of help somebody be more self-sufficient. So the whole idea is to empower our people.
Wow. Yeah, and that's just a little bit, you guys. I mean, if you ever had a chance, especially if you work in this field, the Somalian Community Center and the events that you all put on and embracing not just the culture, but their spiritual belief, faith-based approach. I love the fact that you all go into the mosque and so much more. So let's dive in now, because you'll probably take us into these questions that I put together, and I'm trying to get better at this, like having some questions for our people. So I like this question. How did you really decide to come into that work and in that role? What made you say, I want to do this versus doing anything else, versus actually going into technology itself by itself, or any other field? What made you say, this is what I want to do?
So this would be 2020 was kind of the first, like right after COVID and life was kind of start getting normal. That was kind of the break of where I saw a lot of mental issues within close relatives and family. So from there on, I kind of saw, I would say, the need for myself to go out and help, because I always found myself talking to people. With my close friends, we're having conversations that are deep, and I'm like, I'm not really a psychiatrist to be having these conversations, but it's making sense to me, and I'm like, okay, so this is something you can talk about, that you are passionate about doing. So slowly I started to recognize I can make small changes, nothing crazy. Like I want to change the world in the aspect of like, wow, this actually does go deeper, because in Kenya, I've taken trips to Kenya. oh, damn it, the viewers don't even know that.
Right. Like, so, we're going to flip back and forth, and I want you to share. Where are you from?
So I'm Somali originally.
Mm-hmm.
My parents are Somali, but I was born in Kenya.
Okay.
So I am a refugee in America. I came here in 2007.
Okay.
Baby, I was in diapers. Like I had
really?
Yeah, like almost damn near no clue what's going on. I'm just over here like, this looks normal because I'm just a kid.
Yeah.
So I started going to kindergarten here. I went to preschool. I didn't go to preschool. Went to like daycare, I
think. Okay.
So and then kindergarten, first grade. So that means I technically am the first generation American.
Yes, you
in
are.
our household because to be raised here, and obviously there's a little bit of background where I lived in Africa, but there's no really cement memory that you can kind of reach back to, and that's why I took the trip in 2019 back to Africa.
How was that? Amazing. How was going to Kenya?
Wow, that was a big experience.
I'm going soon, you guys. We're working on something. I'm going to visit.
It was amazing because at the time I was very young as well.
Yeah.
And I seen things you wouldn't really see in American as an American or in America. Like there would be times where, like for example, our projects in America, they look bad. Yes, they look terrible.
Right, our projects look bad.
They look terrible.
They look like hell. But go ahead.
You know what I mean? But the projects in Africa kind of gave me a new glance, and it's not. There's no foundation. There's no roofing. There's no insulation. There's no a locked door that's secure in nobody's household, and everybody's living together. And it seems like nobody's really mad. That's what surprised me the most. Like nobody's mad.
No one's mad about it.
Nobody's like, think of it like this. We're going through our day-to-day life in America. How often do we run into a person that's just angry at life?
I do have someone in my life that oh shit.
So,
look, see, I told you we'll get into a real conversation here. Stop it, Abby. But yes, like but not, you know what? Often.
Yes.
Often.
And usually somebody's mad because for valid reasons, yes. But how often do we see people just happy just to be happy? You
don't. You really don't. People probably think I'm mad all the time too. But no, I mean, you see a lot of fake happiness. Remember we talked about that.
Absolutely. And the thing is with them, it's like they're still celebrating their culture.
Wow.
They're still enjoying family time. They're still taking care of their kids.
What is that then?
I'm flabbergasted. I have no.
But I'm gonna be honest. I don't know. I think it's a part of culture with you all because when I come to visit and meet, I don't care what's going on. Even our conversations that we've had that were heartfelt or was something serious we had to talk about, there's still this joy in your voice. Like it don't sound like you have a sadness. It's more like it's still a hope. So I wonder what if you had time to really think, what do you think that is? Because even coming over there's still a difference when I come into your community. I can see there's differences where people may assume there is poverty happening actively, right? Just by sight.
Yeah.
Oh, I see something that looks very different from me. So I can assume that this is, but I feel like there's a whole wealthiness, a wealth, some type of joy. Like, do Farhan, does he ever get angry? Because
not really.
I be wanting to get mad for him. Like I'm always seeing him something. And it's not a fake. It's like,
I think now I'm thinking about it. I feel like there's always a sense of hope. Yeah, like because you kind of see, we think as hope as something being done for us, essentially. But it's really hope is essentially God gives us grace. Like I hope God gives me grace today to have a better day.
Wow.
So, and with every conversation, you have the chance to reach God's grace by being hopeful through being smiling. Because in our religion, we consider smiling as a good deed. Like God gives you good deed to smile throughout your day. He's not saying, "Oh, you're just smiling."
Okay.
So that is God giving you grace. That's God shining a little light on you that was far away that you probably never noticed. Like certain things that are very big, you can really kind of bicker it down to maybe God is just trying to look out for me. In any essence, maybe a car tried to run you over today.
Mm-hmm.
You're mad, but what if that car running you over was meant for you to miss a pothole that would have hit you another car? You know what I mean? There's always that tickering small bell that something else could have been where this happened. So I'm grateful and I'm hopeful that the next time God will show me more grace like he did this time.
Wow. You know what? And as you were talking about it, I was thinking about moments that I've observed you all. And I agree. I think that is what you observed in Kenya.
Yes.
You know, like, and I think really sitting with that, I can see that. Coming back from Kenya though, and coming back here, do you think it helped your engagement effort?
Absolutely.
Tell me why. Why do you think?
Because it was so like, I thought we were ungrateful people. I'm gonna be honest. Like I truly thought we were just some ungrateful degenerates. We make the lowest salary is about what, 36,000.
Mm-hmm.
That's the richest in the world.
Over there.
That's the 1% around the world, all around the world. You're part of the 1%ers. When you're looking at a scale.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yes.
You're looking at that type of scale.
Yeah.
Look at a scale of stop looking at just what is the people around me making.
Mm-hmm.
What is the people in the world making, and where do I sit?
Wow.
Because that's the big difference. Like
you do, it takes you out of this like tunnel vision.
Exactly. Like when we're on a plane, do you see tiny people, like, or do you just see everything?
You see everything.
You see everything.
And the world is so big.
So why seclude yourself to this small cubicle? I don't care if it's a state or a country. Wow. It's a cubicle.
A real quick side note, and before we go on, please like, share, and comment on this. You all know this conversation is good. I'm getting drawn in. Brian may have to come in here and stop us from talking before about 2:30 because it's going to get even deeper. So again, like, share, comment. If you're watching a replay of this, please do the same. Like, share, and comment.
Absolutely.
I had a friend this week, actually Maxwell, and you probably don't hear Maxwell. We were talking about, about moving around, right? And making decisions on moving from one state to the other. And I used the metaphor of a canvas. I said, you get to create a new canvas when you move. He was like, no. It's like, what if it's the same canvas? We're just seeing it from a different perspective. And then we've really started diving deep. This is why you can't talk to me after midnight. We'll be on the phone till 3:00 in the morning. And that's not even under the influence, y'all. That's just Sharita. So, but then we started talking. He was like, I'm at home because Earth is home. Not Kentucky, Illinois, Kenya. Earth is home. So instead of me thinking, and it honestly helped me think about even more, and maybe that's why I felt comfortable to say I want to come and visit, because I kept saying I ain't getting on no plane, going nowhere. I'm afraid to fly. But he was like, I can go visit home anywhere. I'm just in another space. And I was like, that's right. God, Allah, my higher power, created this space for me. So if I want to go home to another space, I can go home and see it. And I was like, whoa. So when I thought about what you were saying, it's so big and we isolate ourselves to this one spot. Wow. I can imagine how it made your engagement go, whoa.
Absolutely. It's just to the point where usually we are secluded. That's the problem. Right? When you get to see other people, other culture, other experiences, and you get to travel and you get to see somebody throwing fire out of their mouth in Thailand. You know what I mean? Maybe you got to go see, maybe horseback rode in Egypt. You know what I mean?
Wow.
All those small experiences get to shape who you are. because maybe because with every experience, there's other smaller stories we get to find out.
Wow.
We get to learn other people's experiences. You get to run into people. Now, all these things are shaping you and who you are and your beliefs. Now, if it's only from one place, you'll have one belief and one ideology, because it's only from here. That's all you know. But if you move around, you get to see a little bit of people, what kind of food they eat here. You got that taste in your mouth. Then you got a little bit of dance over here. Then you got a little bit of culture over here. Then you got a little bit of religion over here. All those things just gives you these ideas of who you want to be at the end of the day. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm like really drawn in because my ideas are really small. The more like I'm listening to you and you just literally you kind of crushed my shit. You was like, I'm sitting here and you just checked my ego for a minute because you're like, you exposed that part of me where I'm sitting here like, wow. So the way I'm approaching things, there's still these unintended pieces because I don't know the foundation. So the beginning of this podcast, we talked about foundation. Absolutely. And so you started talking about the foundation over there with the projects. And I was saying that without intentional engagement, you're building a weak foundation for the long term.
Absolutely.
And I'm feeling like, no wonder I can walk into the center and everyone seems so connected because you all take time to build an actual foundation. Not to say you went to Kenya was like, I'm building a foundation for stronger relationships. It was organic, but imagine being intentional and saying, I'm going, which is why I came this week and said, I need to go see. I need to touch. I need to take my shoes off. I need to feel. I need to see. I need to smell. I need to taste. Everything we were talking about because there's something missing. There's something missing. How can I truly engage? So what you all are seeing right now as Abdi and I are talking is really how I started, collaborating with Abdi. You want to start sharing because our meetings were they were not just an hour and a half. It was like 3 hours.
Whoa, that was long.
Yes. What would you say? How could I frame this? How did you feel about that initial meeting with myself and Takesha? I think you were in that second meeting. I think I was in the meeting with Attica, Shamika. That was Farhan.
Was it when you guys came to the office?
Mm-hmm.
And you guys had to give us that training?
Mm-hmm.
I thought y'all was homegirls. I'm not gonna lie. I got that initial feeling of, yeah, we could definitely be homegirls after this. Because first of all, anybody that talks to you about sex for 3 hours, y'all gotta be friends afterwards. Because you just broke a big bubble. I don't know if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Those conversations are usually on the basis of close people you want to have with or your friends. And now we're in a workspace. And it's so comfortable to talk to you and ask you all these questions, and it comes from a place of education.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, of course I'm about to be friends with you. What you mean?
So I remember that was one of Farhan's. We got a chance to debrief with him because you guys had to go, or it was on another time frame. And what Farhan complimented and shared was that what really brought him in was the questions we asked. And I always I use that as examples when we're talking about engaging in seminars and presentations. I always go back to those moments because every meeting we had was ours.
Absolutely.
And what you experienced, I experienced too. I felt, so you guys, first of all, I felt like a queen, but now I'm starting to feel like they don't like me no more because I went to this podcast this week. I didn't have no tea. I didn't have no samosas, sambusas. Is it samosas? Sambusas. I didn't have nothing. And, I was like, I'm going to file a complaint because y'all really treated us in that first year of really getting to know each other. But that first experience, I mean, I felt so special, and it was so authentic because this is a part of what we do in culture. And it was one of my first questions: is this something you do all the time? And Farhan was like, yeah. And we unpacked the need to have food when you're communicating and you're meeting and what that symbolizes. And I'm like, wow.
Yeah, food is very important. Like it's taking a lot of people take food very lightly as just something that we eat, which it is, absolutely. But it's more so that everybody has their own taste. That's the thing. Like, just as much as everybody has their own idea and their own opinions, just everybody has their own taste. And with every culture, you get a taste of their culture. You get a taste of who they are. You get a taste of what aspects or what things they like. Like some cultures like very spicy things. Some cultures don't. Some cultures like salty. Some cultures don't. Like white people only like salt and pepper.
Look, now listen, y'all. He said it, not me.
But in essence, if that's what you like, that's what you like. And nobody's saying if you like salt and pepper on your shit,
then that's
your salt and pepper.
Well, my kids say that's all I use anyway. I'm not a cook.
Exactly. Like what you like is what you like. You get
what
I mean? So we're here to try it. If we don't like it, we don't like it.
Right.
I'm gonna respect it. And if I love it, I'm still here for it.
Right.
I'm gonna respect it. So it's just a matter of just perspective on what people think. But food wise, you get to learn a lot about what people are and who they are.
Yeah. It was so engaging. And then, my questions, honestly, Abdi, were because I am ignorant. This is the part where I say you're gonna make mistakes, y'all. You're gonna make mistakes. There's the unintentional that you can prevent. And what I mean by that is, it was a funny moment because me and Takesha were talking, and Takesha from Target 4, UK Target 4, was like, so, we like to bring condoms and pull out a dildo and put them on. Is that okay for us to do with, men, 2 women? And I think that's what got Farhan. He was like, people don't ask these questions.
Absolutely. And these questions are very important.
They are. We walk into the mosque like, here you go. Put some condoms on there. What's up?
The sheikh gonna say, hey, man, you're in the wrong place.
Right? Like,
so
why do you think people don't ask questions around sex? Like, if I'm not from this culture, like your outfit. Yeah. I'm not about to assume and sound ignorant. So I'm like,
for bringing that up right now because there was a time I don't know if it was a couple or it was just 2 guys. They thought I was gay because I was wearing this.
Wow, they assumed. Instead of asking, what do you have on?
Exactly. And it's like, I get you think it looks like a dress, you know what I mean? But it's not. It's a cultural wear. You know what I mean? And what's the funny thing? How many times people go to Dubai and throw one of these on?
Do they even ask though? Do they ask why? What am I wearing and why? What is the symbolism? Like, what does it mean for me to wear this? No.
People are straight ignorant now.
Yeah.
And it's sad to see that, absolutely. And it just tells us that we just need to work on each other more. And
I think we don't create. I think we don't. My thing is, and I want to encourage viewers on here, it is asking uncomfortable questions. If you don't know, you don't know. And that's my thing. It's like, I really appreciate you coming in dressed in your garb because it allowed me to demonstrate. Ask. Because it's something about education. That's a part of our pillar. When we are engaging and getting to know people, especially when we're doing engagement like this, I'm building rapport, there is going to be a lot of opportunity for education to come in there. Right. Like asking questions and saying, okay, so tell me more. There was another topic that came up as we were spending time getting to know each other. Me and Takesha asked about marriages. And we had a real good discussion around understanding how men in your culture can have multiple wives and the perspective around that and being able to joke too. Now, that wasn't the first meeting. That was like the second or third meeting. And I say that like that because as you're building a relationship, Again, it's not a microwave, it's an oven. It takes time. We couldn't come in on the first day and be like, now tell us, what kind of message does that send? Like, tell us about the women. It would send something with a negative tone because they don't know who we are. They don't know where it's coming from. So when you think about how do I build relationships, the first part of that is the basic. It's keeping it simple. It's talking about where you're from, sharing who you are and where you're from.
Absolutely.
Which was what I was able to share too. And as you can see, it helps with how we move forward. So there's another question I want to throw in there, and because it's naturally happening. We actually went through some questions and talked through some of them. Absolutely. But I do want to get to this because you kind of hinted on having conversations in your role. As I too think that this could be a difficult space, but how do Somalian values and practices align with or challenge the harm reduction way of doing things? So like safe sex and using condoms and safe injection practices with like syringe exchange. Like how does it align, or what's the challenge with that when we're talking about harm reduction?
So when we're talking about harm reduction, and specifically with the Somali community, you will definitely get a lot of conversations where you don't want to talk about it. Especially for me, it's like it makes them feel awkward for one, and they're in our religion, for example, when it comes to like sexual health, we believe that you're not supposed to have sex until you get married, and that's our belief, and that's what our parents believe in, and hopefully that's what they were doing, and that's what they continuously stick onto. Now, our generation, sexual health is very needed because a lot of us teens, or you would say, as growing up in America, it became normalized, you would say. So that would be to tell a parent, your kid might be having sex and might be doing all these different acts, might be smoking or injecting drugs. That is not a conversation you want to have with them all the time, because you will get that, no, my son is amazing.
Right, my son ain't doing nothing.
Oh my God, they've been getting all A's all year. They ain't been doing nothing. Oh, my daughter, she's amazing. She stays home and clean all the time. And I have to be the one that be like, the thing is, even though they might be doing all these things, which is great, I'm happy for them, they're still in these spaces where they could get harmed. And we are trying to be the ones to educate them that, hey, these things are something that exists. As much as we want to not talk about it, as much as we want to say, blind ourselves, it's there and we can't ignore it. And as much times as like I have to repeat it to them, I be trying to, and they like shut the door on you because they believe that a parent believes what they believe. You get what I mean? Especially when it comes to their kids. And then, so breaking that barrier is very hard. And there's times that we have broken those barriers. Yeah. And those come in like workshops. Like, we have parents come in a way where they're open-minded. So we always tell parents, don't come into the space with the knowledge that you used to have. Come in seeking newer knowledge, because we're in a new society. Right. And you don't go to a tech class with what you know, because they're about to teach you some new tech. Exactly. So we try to help them understand that different perspective, different mindsets is needed. We have to at least be open enough to have a conversation. Yeah. Because if we can't even have a conversation about it, then that means statistics are going to continue. Yeah. Problems are going to arise. Our teens are going to have more problems. And then it's going to continue to trickle down from generation to generation. Right. So if we help ourselves now, then we're helping 3 generations. Yeah. And seeing parents that lately has been a joy, because they're seeing the problems. So now it's getting to the point where, okay, yeah, my son has been doing this for the past 8 years, or my daughter, I haven't been seeing her for this long, and this happening. And they'll come to us seeking counseling, and we get to help them understand that we understand that your child is in this space, and there's ways that they can be helped, be coped with. And we have trained professionals in the cultural aspect or in the religious aspect to talk to these people as well. Yeah. Like, we train mosques to understand that sexual health, they have to, like, they talk about that with their community members. So we trained imams. We trained our local community members that come in all the time to just simply talk about it.
Yeah.
That's all. That's all it takes. And then we can figure out how to stop it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Then we can figure out which way we need to go.
Right.
Okay, do we need to start schooling a little differently? Do we need to be doing this? Do we need to be doing that? But if we don't talk, we don't know the problem.
If we don't ask, we're not going to know what to do.
So, yeah. So right now, the biggest thing is just trying to get people to continue to open up.
Which that seems to be part of the issues that I have too within the Black community when it comes to looking at all the harms, right? What I found to be an interesting dynamic, as I was talking to a friend the other day who is going to get financial support for prevention. And I was like, right, thinking about substance use, thinking about, harm reduction pathways to preventing, unsafe and unhealthy behaviors. And their response was, I just think it's for violence prevention. And I'm like, they're all together. Like we silo even the issues within the community. And there's something to say on how to connect with leaders, which is what I think is the drawback when we look at our immigrant communities and our specific communities within the immigrant community, like the Somalian community and the tight-knit work, as opposed to Black people in communities, and we can't pull it together because we're so sporadic. We're siloed in different areas. When we look at harm reduction being over the spectrum of all these, areas of disparities that we're dealing with, I'm like, why are we allowing folks who make the decisions to be the ones to tell us that there's a difference when we know there's not? Substance use, we're talking about young women who are entering motherhood while still being parented themselves.
Absolutely. That's the crazy thing. It's usually, and it just trickles down to like understanding that even on the larger spectrum of advocating, we still need the voice of the people and what they need. You get what I mean? It's not like so it is America. We have 2 senators of state.
Mm-hmm.
2 people supposed to talk for all these people. Like, that's just how I look. Like, come on now. There's systematically speaking, certain things are built in a way where it's just a couple of people that voices that matter than an overall spectrum.
Yeah, we live in a system. So yes, our system of politics, who are supposed to be the governing body, that these folks are supposed to create policies that support folks, that support the communities of their state, and blah, blah, blah. We have that system in place. And oftentimes you hear people say the system is broken. And I'm like, no, the system operates actually the way it's supposed to, you guys.
And that's what I be trying to tell, boy. It's not broken. It's working the way they need it to work.
Exactly.
It's definitely. So the thing is, I've seen, like, when I go to like Saudi Arabia, like I've been to different countries. When I go to Saudi Arabia and what they do for the Saudi people, free healthcare, free schooling, free housing, all these things. And you want to tell me, with America's big self, if it really if it really wanted it, not just hypothetically speaking, if you want it. What we want, we do. What we don't need, we don't do.
Right. If we really wanted it, we could do it. Yeah. And that, I think, is a concept that people get missed on. Like, no, the system was created this way for a purpose, for a reason. Absolutely. For there to be a 1% at the top or 2%, for there to be people at the bottom, for there to be people that are going to get left behind, that are the slaves to the people who make the money, right? Absolutely. This was created like this. So once we can own and say that what needs to happen is the system needs to be dismantled and destroyed and rebuilt with people, then that's the pathway. The system has to be completely destroyed. If we really want health and safety, as our state says, Absolutely. We're going to be healthier, we're going to be a safer state. well, if you really want it, you're going to have to dismantle what you have, because that doesn't promote health and safety. It doesn't. It just doesn't. And you can't fool people who with lived experience, who have experienced the system for what it is. But did you want to say something else?
So
to that?
it's like this. Majority of times when I see it, especially when you say destroy the system, it's like saying we need a different systematic approach to every different sector department. And these systematic systems that are being built must be tailorized in a way where it's America understands that this is not a country that is open, that it is a country that is open to a full diaspora of people. And with all these diasporas comes all these needs. And simply trickling it down to how can we, on a basic level, provide what people need to survive and thrive, to create a better society for the next 100 generations, maybe. Because America's coming up to like that 250 line.
Right.
And great history speaks. 250, you're not looking too good. You got to stand your ground. And that's the thing. America's been planning for this. Like, that's why America has so many bases all over the world. That's why America tries. Like, when people tell me America is backed by, our dollar is backed by gold or whatever. No, it's not. We got guns. That's what we're backed up on. We got guns and humans. Point blank, period. Yeah. And other nations know that. They see that. They see that if you want to really mess up with the dollar all day, you got to mess with their guns too. Yeah. So we're essentially the biggest bullies there is.
There is. Like, again, this conversation that Abdi and I are having allows you to kind of actually take a peek into where Abdi is coming from. What I'm hoping that viewers get from this is a better understanding of why I say building a foundation is important. Getting to know a person, the way that a person thinks, the way that a person feels, how they're moving, how they operate, where they've been. Because now as we move into, okay, how can I be supportive? I have a better understanding. And now this person that I'm talking to has a better way of communicating because they feel heard, they feel listened to, they feel like they've been centered. That is the foundation. As we start to close out our time, and it goes by fast, Abdi, I have a couple of questions for you, for the audience. One, what are you hopeful for now? What gives you hope right now as we're moving through a very tough time with our current federal administration? And what would you like to see other people do, like organizations like KYHRC and what we've done to establish a relationship with you all? What would you like to see over the next 5 years with the center and other organizations? What do you want to see, and how can they?
So, let's just paint a dream board.
Okay, dream board.
I like to dream sometimes. For the next 5 years, if I would say, what I like to see from other organizations as well as ours, to kind of build that connection where we're no longer worried about red tape. We're no longer worried about we can't help this person because of XYZ status, or we can't do this because of blah, 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 administration said this. Because usually when we're working with a bigger organization, not to bash anything, but we have to go through a lot of hoops. Like, let's be honest, we have to work like we're a corporation, essentially. Like, we got to get this from the lawyers and get this from that. And I get it. We have to protect ourselves. But there's certain things, certain measures that we have to take. But when it comes down to the basic level of just helping people, we should kind of understand and emphasize that pro bono is really something that we all can do. We can really put our boots on the ground together. We can really work in a way where, let's say today, we need the city to do something for us. We don't have to go and jump through 80 hoops 90 hoops. You know what I mean? Just to get to where we need to get to. Does that make sense? Majority of the time, if we can simply just say this is what needs to be done as a whole, as a state, which is really the essence. Like community-based organizations are the voice. Yeah. Then you have people with corporations and fundings.
Yeah.
Then you have people who need tax breaks and corporations and fundings. You know what I mean? So there's all these needs that must be met. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For us to do our work. You know what I mean? A lot of times we've grown from a grassroots nonprofit on the backs of just simply using what we have. And what we have, we learned is always enough. No one, I'm literally saying this, we all have enough resources to do what we need to do. I don't care if it's little, I don't care if it's a lot, because we have time, we have energy, we can breathe, we can walk, we can smile, and we can think. We got 6 things. All right, you want to tell me we can't do nothing? Yeah. 6 things? Like, come on now. Villages were built on the backs of these 6 things. Money just became this thing where people value to do these 6 things. But these 6 things were being built. Like, when we think about ancient empires, yes, they had money, but they also had these 6 things. Yeah. How are the pyramids built? You think pyramids was built off of money?
No, it wasn't.
It wasn't. They came together to make these things happen. And if we want to make things happen, we have to come together with just these 6 things and then pull our resources together and make what we need to make happen. Until then, we're really just tugging and pulling and just, you could just say, playing under the feet, tap throwing our feet.
Yeah.
But essentially, I would love to see that. But that's like on the dream board, I guess.
I think putting it out there, it would be manifested. I think that we have to speak the things that we want to see.
Absolutely.
I don't think you're the only one who's speaking it. So I think the energy around all of us collectively saying this is the dream for all of us to get into this and know that everyone has a right to live and thrive. Absolutely. And be able to do for themselves if they have the resources to do it. Abdi, this time was really short, but I mean, having you on here, seriously, I know that people are going to listen to this and watch this over time and get a lot more from it than even what I expect, which is what I want from this platform, is for people to see it as a resource on how to really do the work. It's not easy. It's it is simple, but it's not easy because you have to not center yourself. You have to step back. You have to allow the organic to actually happen. And I know it's counter what society is doing, where everything is match made, everything is put together, and we pick and pull and make it happen. But there's something about organic, and I want you to think about it. In the grocery stores, there's the organic food. What does that mean? What is it about organic? Why are people buying organic food? These relationships that are built off of authentic conversations and connecting, sharing space, is the organic food. It's how we really move and say, you know what? I want to be intentional. So real quick, this is the treat for how and why it's important. When I started meeting with the Somalian Community Center and the team, the initial goal was so our team could come out and do work. Because I follow the platform and I allow the organic to happen, what I walked away with was, we don't have to do the work. They're doing the work. All they needed was whatever we have that's saving lives, that's preventing overdoses. They just need access to it. Especially when you find out that some of the words in your PowerPoint don't even have a name in your language, right?
Yeah, I remember
That was right. So how dare I? How can I? Right. And so that's the beauty of it, is learning our approach didn't need to happen. And it didn't happen that way. Because what I believe in is, how do I truly meet a community or a person where they're at? And the first step is to listen and engage and build the relationship. And sometimes that means your plans change. So Abdi, listen, we formed a friendship that started because it was going to be business, right?
Absolutely.
And I'm okay with that. We spend a lot of time doing this work. We spend a lot of time in community. I always tell people, you build a family in this work. We care about each other. And my thing is, the only way that I know I can show up for people is I really have to know and get to know who they are. And then I learn the way that I am supposed to show up. And it may not be what I thought at first. So I appreciate you quickly, because you learned about this just 48 hours ago.
No, I appreciate you. Absolutely.
Yes.
I always on the fly.
I know. And I imagine that when we'll be circling back, and we'll want you to come back, and maybe even for our in-person live taping, where we have people show up as an audience and we engage that. Yeah. Like I think it's more opportunities to connect. Because we're not siloed. We're not here alone. And our worlds are really big.
Absolutely. Very big.
They're huge. So, hey, you guys, this time went by super fast. It seems like every week is going by fast. I hope you truly got something. You were able to walk away with something from this conversation. But I got a challenge. I'm going to say a challenge every time we wrap up. What are you going to do? When you say you're going and you're about to get out here and you're going to do some outreach, you're going to work with people, are you going to pause? Are you going to pause and say, wait a minute, I'm going to do outreach, but did I ask people what they need me to reach out with and for? Are you going to get to know that community? Are you going to sit through the discomfort? Are you going to sit through the awkwardness of not knowing what's right or what's wrong? Are you going to accept that you just don't know and learn? Accept the ignorance so that you can become empowered to make the right decision, right?
Absolutely.
So, yes. So listen, I will check you all out in a couple of weeks. Thank you for joining us. If you're catching this on the replay, don't forget, we got our QR code on there to donate. A few dollars here and there. Sometimes I let my addiction go and I'll take my coffee money and I'll throw it into our donation, because that's something that we could do too. You don't have to donate all your money, but if you got a few ends to throw us, we would greatly, greatly appreciate it. Until next time, peace out. I appreciate you all.
Peace.